Grandma unveils shocking revenge secret after years of pain and completely transforms her life. Martha Dawson never expected her quiet life in the little town of Maple Hollow to spiral into chaos. At 60, she thought she had all the surprises behind her. The sadness of losing her husband, Henry, still wrapping around her like a thick fog. For 3 years, she had practiced the art of solitude, gardening in her small yard, listening to the soothing sounds of nature. But today, everything shifted the moment Evelyn, her enigmatic grandmother, wrenched open the door and pulled her into a tempest of memories. "Sit down, Martha. I've got something to tell you." Evelyn's voice crackled with urgency, each syllable steeped in mystery. With her white hair all askew, Evelyn looked more like a sorceress than a grandmother, harboring secrets that danced on the edge of darkness. Martha's heart thumped painfully in her chest as she lowered herself onto the threadbare couch, the familiar scent of musty fabric and old perfume bringing a flood of memories. A trembling anticipation filled the air, thick as the summer heat. "Do you remember old Miss Clara?" Evelyn's eyes gleamed with mischief, her finger tapping against her chin. "The one who brought scandal upon our family?" Martha swallowed hard, the words striking her like ice-cold water. Yes, she remembered. The whispered accusations, the ruined reputation. It was like a ghost haunting them, lingering in the shadows, ready to pounce. At the slightest sign of weakness. Years ago, Evelyn continued, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, "I vowed revenge against her for what she did to us. It's time, Martha. It's time to settle the score." Martha's breath caught in her throat, the tension wrapped around her like barbed wire. She had spent years crafting a life of peace, cocooned in the embrace of loss. But now, the thought of facing the haunting specter of vengeance was unbearable. "Grandma, what are you saying? Don't you see? It's not just about revenge. It's about reclaiming our family's honor." The room seemed to tilt. A mix of anger and fear coursed through her veins. Was this the legacy she was supposed to? "Carrie?" She glanced toward the window, the garden blooms swaying lazily in the breeze, oblivious to the storm brewing inside her. Just then, Clara, her bright-eyed daughter, burst through the door, laughter trailing behind her like sunlight. "Mom! Grandma! What's going on?" She paused, sensing the heavy air, her carefree smile fading. Martha's gut twisted. How could she shield Clara from the dark history threatening to resurface? Yet, as Evelyn's voice echoed in her mind, a tempest roared within, battling the urge to bury the past. "Clara, we're talking about family," Martha managed to say, her voice trembling. "Family?" Clara echoed softly, brow furrowing. "What about family?" Martha looked at her grandmother, then back at Clara. The tension sizzled, a palpable fear rippling through them. This secret could unravel everything. As if summoned by the chaos, a flicker of movement caught Martha's eye through the window. An old figure from her past, a shadow she never wanted to see again. Will seeking justice bring closure, or drag us deeper into chaos? The thought echoed ominously in her mind, her heart racing. "Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Martha's heart raced as she watched the shadow outside the window draw closer. Who could it be? The faint rumble of a truck's engine echoed, growing louder, and before she could process it, the door creaked open. "Evelyn," a voice called, sharp and commanding. In stepped a figure that sent a jolt of disbelief through Martha's chest. Miss Clara herself. The air thickened with tension, each face frozen in shock. Clara, her daughter, took a step back. "Mom? Grandma? What's going on?" Miss Clara, the very person Evelyn had spoken of, looked no older than 20, yet in her eyes danced the flicker of ancient secrets. "I need to speak with you both," she announced, unwavering, her gaze darting between the two women as if they were pawns in her game. Martha felt her pulse quicken. "What do you mean, you need to speak with us?" she stammered, her heart plunging into an abyss of dread. "I brought something," which Clara hesitated. Reaching into her bag, something that changes everything. She pulled out an envelope, its edges frayed. Evelyn's expression shifted from surprise to something darker, a storm brewing behind her wise eyes. "What's that?" she hissed, her voice laced with urgency. Clara tore it open, and a photograph slipped out, fluttering to the floor between them. Martha's breath caught as she glanced down. It was a faded image of her grandmother, holding a baby. Only the shock came not from the image itself, but from the baby's unmistakable face. "Is that you?" Martha gasped, her hand clenching the edge of the couch. Clara nodded, her tone hardening. "And there's more." She pulled out more papers, each revealing secrets that twisted around Martha like a noose. "You always thought we were just victims," Clara continued. "But we're part of something much bigger. And it's all because of her." She pointed at Evelyn, her voice rising with every syllable. "You didn't just lose a husband, Mom. Our whole family has been living a lie. You were never meant to be the victim in this story." Martha's world flipped. A layer of fog she'd lived under shattered, leaving clarity buried underneath. "What do you mean? What have you done?" Evelyn's hand shot out, her expression wild. "Clara, stop! You don't know the repercussions. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about history." But Clara pressed on, a defiant glint in her eye. "You think I don't understand the depths of what she did? What we've been living through? I found the letters, Grandma. The ones you buried deep." "What letters?" Martha's chest tightened. "What are you hiding?" With a heavy sigh, Evelyn sank back into the worn couch, her shoulders trembling. "They tell everything about her, about our true lineage." Martha felt the floor shift beneath her. "Wait, are you saying Miss Clara is somehow connected to us?" "It's more than that." Clara's voice dropped to a chilling whisper. "Miss Clara is family. Everything you thought you knew is a facade." Martha's head spun, the walls of reality closing in around her. "Family?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "You're telling me she's part of us?" As the weight of that revelation crashed down, a soft knock echoed from the back of the house. It broke the electric tension. "I know you're in there, Evelyn," a man's voice called out, low but forceful. Martha's stomach twisted. Who was he? And what secrets did he hold? "Clara, we need to go, now!" Martha urged, fear flooding her veins. But Clara stood frozen, her eyes locked on the door, where a dark silhouette loomed, blending into the only hint of daylight left. Suddenly, the door swung open. "It's time for all of us to talk," the man declared, stepping into the room, Mr. Thompson, the town historian, grinning as if he'd just revealed a glorious secret. Martha's heart froze in her chest, terror gripping her. What had she stepped into? And could this man really hold the key to all their pain? The man stepped inside, his presence a thundercloud in the already charged room. "It's time for all of us to talk," he declared. a knowing grin curling at the corners of his mouth. Mr. Thompson, the quiet town historian with a mysterious aura, swept his gaze over the three women frozen in disbelief. "Who invited you?" Martha managed, her heart racing like a wild bird trapped in a cage. "I've come to reveal what you've all been too afraid to face," he replied, his voice low and almost hypnotic. The air thickened, stinging with the weight of held breath. Clara's hand tightening around the papers like a lifeline. "What do you know?" she demanded. "More than you think," Thompson said, stepping closer, his eyes gleaming with a dark curiosity. "You tie yourself too closely to history, but history can be rewritten." "What are you talking about?" Martha's voice cracked, the room narrowing around her. "If you know something, spill it." Thompson drew in a breath, as if savoring the moment before exploding a bomb. "Miss Clara, your grandmother isn't who you think she is. She's not just a victim of scandal. She's the architect of it." "What?" A jolt shot through Martha. Her body stiffened. "What do you mean?" "Evelyn," he said, directing his attention at the elder's surprised eyes. "You had a second chance at a new life. Why not burn the old away?" Martha's stomach twisted. "What are you saying?" Thompson moved closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Evelyn orchestrated the downfall of Miss Clara, not because of revenge for their families, honor, but to erase her own mistakes and to reclaim her legacy." The room seemed to spin. Every heartbeat thudded against Martha's chest like a drum. She glanced at Evelyn, confusion spilling into anger. "Is this true?" Evelyn's face drained of color, lips parting, but no words came out. "What mistakes?" Clara's voice shook with a mix of confusion and fury. "What legacy?" Thompson continued. "She wove a tale to step into the shadows, to escape a part of her past that never truly left her. She was the one who escalated the conflict, who used your family's pain for her own gain. That scandal, it was a smokescreen." Martha's heart plummeted. "You did this?" Evelyn shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. "No, I wanted to protect us." "Protect us?" Martha scoffed, disbelief coating her words. "From what? You've been feeding us lies." The door suddenly slammed shut, echoing through the room, a primal warning. The vibration rattled through Martha's bones. "What have you done?" she yelled at Evelyn. "What more is there?" "Stop, all of you!" Clara yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. But before she could continue, Thompson slowly unfolded a crumbled note from his pocket, eyes flashing with dark excitement. It was addressed to Evelyn, and the expression on his face indicated it was going to set the room ablaze. "Just read it," Thompson urged. "You'll see, it's a blessing and a curse." Martha lunged forward, snatching the note from Thompson's grasp. The moment her fingers brushed against the paper, an old weight lifted, revealing an unspeakable truth. She forced her gaze down and read aloud, the words seeping like poison into the room. "To my beloved Evelyn, I'll keep the secret of our lineage safe. You'll always be my daughter." Martha's blood froze. "Daughter? But you're her grandmother." "Mom." Clara's voice trembled, confusion twisting her face. "Your mother isn't my daughter," Evelyn whispered, voice breaking into a choked sob. "She's my sister." Martha's thoughts fractured. "What? This can't be happening." A sudden realization crashed down. But that means Clara could be. Just then, a loud crash sounded outside, as if the world was crumbling. Around them, Martha's heart raced faster than ever. Shadows danced in the corners of her mind. Who were they really? And what other secrets loomed in the darkness? The darkness was closing in, secrets unraveling at the seams. Would they discover the truth before it swallowed them whole? The darkness was closing in, secrets unraveling at the seams. The weight of the moment pressed down on all of them, thick like fog. Martha's heart pounded, each beat echoing the chaos around them. "What else is there?" she urged, desperation making her voice tremble. Thompson stepped back, studying Evelyn with an intensity that set Martha's teeth on edge. "The truth is deeper than you realize," he said, his voice a low growl. "What if I told you that the scandal isn't just a family feud? What if it's a bloody legacy?" The room held its breath. Clara eyed Thompson, her expression a whirlwind of anger and disbelief. "What are you talking about?" "Your family," he spoke slowly, deliberately. "You're not just linked to Miss Clara in blood. You're entangled in a lineage that stretches back generations, a line tainted with betrayal and obsession." Martha's throat went dry. "Betrayal? Obsession?" Thompson nodded, his eyes gleaming with a sinister light. "Evelyn didn't just shield you from the truth. She drew the curtain on a past filled with darkness. The pain you experienced after losing Henry," he gestured between them, "it ties back to the sins of your ancestors. And Miss Clara? She embodies everything this family wished to erase." "What?" Clara's voice cracked, disbelief etching deeper lines into her brow. "You're saying I'm the end of a curse?" "Something like that," he replied, smirking as if savoring every moment. "But it gets worse." Outside, thunder cracked, rumbling through the air, a warning from above, as if the universe was about to intervene. The sudden boom sent a shiver down Martha's spine. "What do you mean worse?" she blurted out. "Years ago, Evelyn made a choice. She sacrificed part of her soul to escape the cycle." "What are you talking about?" Clara shouted, frustration breaking through her uncertainty. "I'm saying she formed a pact, one that binds your lives to bloodshed. You are the descendants of a cult that practiced dark rituals to harness power, one that has targeted families in Maple Hollow for generations. Miss Clara is not just linked by blood. She holds the key to something more grotesque." The air grew thick, suffocating. Evelyn's eyes widened, horror dawning. No, that's not true. I wouldn't." "Did you think you could hide it forever?" Thompson pressed, ignoring her protests. "Your life, your family has been shaped by this darkness, and it's not over. It comes back to collect its due." "What does that mean?" Martha whispered, the gravity of his words settling like lead in her stomach. Just then, the door shattered inward with a force that sent splinters flying. Martha screamed as a figure stumbled into the room. A young woman, breathless, eyes wild with fear. "Please, you have to run," she gasped, her voice sharp with panic. "Who are you?" Martha cried, heart racing. "Your cousin," the stranger half shouted, barely catching her breath. "The cult! They're here. They've tracked you down. They're coming for Clara." A chill swept through the room. Everything Martha thought she understood crashed down like a house of cards. Her reality fractured. "Cousin?" Clara echoed, confusion mixing with dread. "It's not safe," the young woman interrupted, urgency flooding her voice. "You don't understand. This isn't just about family. They know what you are." Panic surged through Martha. "What are we? What else is hidden?" The question lingered in the air, unanswered, heavy with impending doom. The shadows in the corners of the room looked darker, looming closer. Suddenly the lights flicked off, plunging them into darkness. The sound of footsteps echoed from the hall, malevolent and certain. And within the suffocating silence, the question remained. Would they be able to outrun their fate? Or was it too late? The darkness enveloped them, thick and heavy. Martha's breath hitched as the distant footsteps grew closer. Who was out there? What did they want? She could feel her heart hammering against her ribcage like a trapped bird. "Please, you have to run," the young woman urged, her voice high with panic. "Your cousin?" Clara echoed. Confusion swept across her face, but fear quickly replaced it. "What do you mean?" "Listen, the cult! They're coming for you!" the woman insisted, eyes wide and frenzied. "We don't have time." Evelyn's face was pale, tears brimming in her eyes. "We need to hide." "Where?" Martha shouted, as the walls around them pulsed with the pressure building in the air. "What do we do?" But before an answer could form, a powerful crash echoed from the back door. A figure burst into the room, silhouetted against the pale light from the windows. "It's too late!" he roared, sending a chill through the air. "Who are you?" Martha gasped, stepping back, heart racing. "Just someone who knows," he replied, eyes darting from Evelyn to Clara, then landing on Martha. "Knows what your family truly is." "What does that mean?" Clara demanded, fists clenched, visibly shaking. "Your family has a history, a darkness. You think it ends with a scandal? It's only the beginning." Martha's mind spun. Was it his message, or the sheer terror that rendered her speechless? "What are you saying?" Suddenly, a deafening roar outside the house echoed through the halls, shaking the very foundation. The ground trembled beneath them, almost knocking Martha off her feet. "Get down!" she shouted. But the trembling only intensified. "Run!" the young woman cried again, her voice rising in pitch. Then, just as quickly as it started, the roaring stopped. Silence engulfed the room. Like a thick blanket, every hair on Martha's body stood on end, dread curling in her gut. The man stepped forward, eyes alight with a manic gleam. "You must understand. The cult. They want Clara. You're tied to something bigger, something that can't be escaped. The blood that runs in your veins, it binds you." "No, no," Martha could hardly form the words as her heart thudded fiercely. "We aren't part of any—" "Yes, you are," he interrupted, advancing toward her until he was nearly nose to nose with her. "You don't even see it. All the pain, the loss, it's been building. You all thought you could hide, but the truth will always find a way to the surface," he said, eyes glinting. Before Martha could process this revelation, the world around her exploded. A blinding light filled the room. She squinted, shielding her eyes. Was this the end? The air crackled like electricity. "Move!" the young woman screamed, but the blinding light intensified. Just then, the ground shook with a force that sent everyone sprawling. Clara fell to the floor, papers scattering around her like autumn leaves. As everything spun out of control, an ear-splitting sound pierced the air, like metal grinding against metal. It was coming from the walls. "Martha! Clara! Get out!" Evelyn shouted, her voice raw and frantic. But as they scrambled to their feet, something shifted in the glow. A chasm opened up in the very floor beneath them, a shuddering rift revealing a dark void below. The air filled with the scent of smoke and something sweet, metallic, almost intoxicating. "No!" Clara yelled, reaching for her mother, panic etched on her face. "They're coming! You have to understand before it's too late!" he shouted, pointing into the darkness. Before she knew it, a hand shot out from the rift, pale and cold. It grasped the edge, pulling itself up. In a split second, the figure emerged, someone familiar. Someone they thought was gone. "Martha," a soft voice called out, trembling through the chaos. Martha froze, blood running cold in her veins as she recognized the face of someone she thought had disappeared long ago. Her mother. "Mom," she whispered, unable to grasp the reality. But that tender connection shattered when her mother's eyes flickered with something darker. A hint of the very curse they had tried to outrun. "You have no idea what's coming," she warned, as the darkness loomed. The light faded, and in that heartbeat, they stood at the precipice of the old and the new, with their history clawing up from the depths. Would they face the echoes of their past, or was it already too late? "Martha." The soft voice cut through the chaos, but it held an edge, something unsettling. Martha stared at her mother, disbelief churning, her face bathed in shadows. Yet something was off. The warmth she used to remember felt distant, replaced by a cold intensity. "You're in grave danger." "Danger?" Martha's voice shook, a wave of confusion crashing over her. The rift just feet away seemed to whisper secrets, tantalizing yet threatening. "From who?" "From your family, from your legacy," her mother exclaimed, desperation coloring her tone. "You're all tied to it, the cult, the rituals, the blood." The man, Thompson, took a step forward. "You don't understand," he growled. "The darkness is inside you. It doesn't just come from outside." His gaze darted between them, dangerous and knowing. "You already have it within." "What are you saying?" Clara shouted, fists clenched tight at her sides. "This can't be happening." "Your mother," Thompson shot back, an unsettling grin stretching across his face, "is the very heart of it." Martha's breath hitched. "What do you mean?" "Years ago," her mother continued, her voice now almost a hiss, "I made a deal, a pact, one that binds our family to the cult's bloodline. I thought I could break it, but it's too late. I thought I had escaped, but it's never gone." "What?" Panic surged through Martha, her chest tightening painfully. "You're telling me that our blood is cursed?" "Don't you see?" Thompson stepped closer, face shadowed, but eyes glinting wickedly. "Your mother is why the hauntings began. She was the one who initiated the cycle. She's the vessel for the cult's power." "What? No!" Clara cried out, her face pale. "That's impossible!" "No," her mother interrupted sharply, her voice trembling yet fierce. "That part is over. I did it to keep you safe." The rift behind them throbbed with anticipation, a low hum vibrating through the floor. Martha felt the ground tremble beneath her feet. "You sacrificed us!" "No, I tried to protect you all." Tears slipped down her mother's face, shadowed eyes filled with sorrow and desperation. "There's more at stake than you know. You're not just products of this lineage. You're central to its resurrection. Clara, you hold the key." "What key?" Clara shouted, shaking her head, disbelief etched on her features. But before her mother could answer, the darkness spilled forth. Shadowy figures clawed their way from the rift, each face twisted in agony and anger. Mere echoes of what once was. "Everyone, get back!" Martha screamed, stumbling backward, heart racing. The figures reached for them, icy hands outstretched, but as they neared, Martha felt a pull, a magnetic force connecting her to something deep within her. "Mom, help us!" Clara cried, terror flooding the room. But her mother stepped back, eyes wide, mouth gaping. The shadows paused, swaying gently, as if in recognition. Thompson grinned wider, his eyes flickering with twisted glee. "It's begun." "Began? What has begun?" Martha's voice trembled, fear shooting through her veins. The darkness responded. It formed a swirling vortex of memories. Visions twisting in and out of focus. Martha was thrown into scenes of her family. Fire, betrayal, blood rituals. And yet, in the center, a bright light flickered, a beautiful warmth piercing through the cold gloom. "Mom, you have to stop this," Clara cried, panic lining her voice, but it seemed different, almost powerful. Suddenly, the shadows moved as one, charging toward them. "Not today!" Clara shouted, raising the crumpled papers high. A brilliant light erupted from them, illuminating the room in a blinding flash. Martha shielded her eyes, but as she blinked away the brightness, the world shifted. Faces changed, shadows danced differently. The fear stripped away, revealing raw, unfiltered truth. "Clara, what did you do?" Martha whispered in disbelief as she looked closer at her daughter. The warmth she thought she'd lost returned, wrapped in a cloak of ancient strength. You're not." But she couldn't finish that sentence, the realization crashing into her like a swinging hammer. Shadows began to retreat, but not before one last chill shot through the air. A figure emerging from the depths. Someone they never expected to see again. "Have you missed me?" The voice echoed, rich and haunting. And there she stood, a younger version of Evelyn, eyes sparkling with mischief and terrible clarity. "I've come to reclaim what's mine." A gasp erupted, anger and disbelief bubbling over. Martha's world spun wildly out of control, ties of trust and betrayal straining tight. As the light flickered, illuminating Evelyn's face, the question loomed over them all, heavy and suffocating. What price would they pay to survive? Martha. The voice was all too familiar, slicing through the chaos like a knife. But it was Evelyn's face that twisted the reality even further, shaking the very core of everything Martha thought she understood. "I've come to reclaim what's mine," Evelyn declared, her eyes blazing with a strange, otherworldly intensity. For an instant, Martha's heart broke into a million pieces. How could it be her grandmother standing there, vibrant and commanding? Didn't they think she had lived through enough pain already? "Evelyn, what did you do?" Martha whispered, the question barely escaping her lips, as if speaking. It would break some fragile thread holding them all together. "There's too much at stake," Evelyn insisted, her voice serious. "You don't understand the sacrifice required." "But you left us! You vanished!" Clara shouted, her hands curling into fists at her sides. "What kind of mother would do that?" "None of this was ever simple," Evelyn replied, a flicker of regret passing across her face. "There are forces at play here, forces even I can't control." "You're saying there's a chance you can?" Clara's voice was barely a whisper, the weight of her fear and anger tightening around her like a noose. Suddenly, something shifted in the air, electric with tension, swirling around them like a storm. A collective gasp echoed as the ground beneath their feet trembled violently. The rift yawned wider, shadows reaching yearningly toward them. Thompson stepped closer, relentless in his quest to expose the truth. "You think this is just about family? You're all in the midst of a battle between dark forces. The cult never really disappeared. It was just waiting for the right moment." "Stop it!" Martha yelled. Chaos erupted again, a sudden banging at the door, each thud resonating with an ominous finality. What now? And just as their panic reached a fever pitch, another figure burst through the door. This time, it was a child, a small girl, no older than 7, with wide, terrified eyes. "They're here!" she cried, chest heaving, small hands shaking. "They're coming for you." A chill gripped the room. Everyone froze, staring at this unexpected interloper. "Who are you?" Evelyn demanded, eyes narrowing, her voice a dangerous whisper. The girl looked around, terror painted across her face. I know everything," she stuttered, backing away from Evelyn. You thought you could hide me away, but I'm not just a secret. I'm the key. The whole family is cursed because of me. Silence fell like a heavy cloak. Martha's heart raced as the implications sank in. What do you mean? She asked, leaning closer. Suddenly, the shadows surged forth, darkness erupting like a vicious tide, as the girl stammered her last words. I'm the child of Miss Clara, she shouted. Voice cracking. I'm all that's left. The room erupted into chaos, faces scrambling in disbelief, the weight of the revelation colliding with a furious force. Clara took a step back, eyes wide with shock. What? No! That's not possible! But the girl's plea rang heavy in the air, echoing against the walls of their shattered reality. You're all connected. The cult, the sacrifices, it's all because of blood. And I carry it. You can't escape. Martha felt her breath hitch, the room spinning around her. No, it can't be true, she gasped, clutching her chest, wondering if her heart could even bear the truth. Yes, the girl cried. It's bigger than you know. The darkness is alive, and it needs a host. A deafening sound shattered the stillness. The rift pulsed, and the shadows swelled again, each flicker hinting at the depths of their family's sinister past. Faces of the lost and damned flickered like candle flames in the dark void, all culminating in a single horrifying thought. Had they all been part of this sinister legacy without even knowing? Martha's world turned upside down, and as panic gripped her heart, a haunting whisper echoed in her head. Will you choose to embrace this darkness, or will you fight against your curse? Every instinct screamed for them to flee, yet they stood paralyzed, gripping the remnants of their identity, shrouded in terror and the promise of blood. What future awaited them in? Its terrifying dance with dark forces, and what price would they pay for the truth? The room held its breath. The shadows were drawn to the girl, their own blood. Fear danced in Martha's chest as she stared at the small child before her. What do you mean? You're the key? Yes, the girl shouted, her voice trembling but fierce. You think it's over? The cult? They need me to unleash it all again. I'm the vessel that connects you all. I was born from the darkness, the very thing you tried to tame. Evelyn stepped back, her eyes wide with disbelief. No, you were supposed to be safe. Her voice cracked, revealing the horror of what this all meant. Martha's heart raced, an indescribable weight pressing down on her. Stay away from her, she shouted, stepping protectively in front of Clara. But the shadows swirled, closing in. They reached for the child, whispering sweet, venomous promises that filled the air like smoke. Clara stood frozen, locked between fear and the truth. What do they want with her? The girl's face tightened, terror spilling over. They want her. They want you, she gasped, turning to Clara, eyes wide. You're not just connected to the past. You are the future they crave. Suddenly, a low rumble filled the air, shaking the walls as if the house itself protested against the chaos. We need to leave, Thompson yelled, but the darkness surged, choking the air. Around them, the rift writhed, breathing in every ounce of fear and desperation. Mom? Clara's voice was barely a whisper. What does she mean? Martha's chest tightened. She wanted to scream that everything would be okay, but the dread bubbling inside was suffocating. We're in this together, Clara, she managed to say, but her voice wobbled with uncertainty. Then the girl turned, and in a moment that shattered reality, she shrieked, No! As she launched herself into the rift. Vanishing into the darkness, Martha's eyes widened with shock. What just happened? That wasn't supposed to happen, Evelyn gasped, her hands trembling. But it was too late. The shadows began to pulse with energy, consuming the air. They shifted and twisted, as if sensing the absence, the girl's sacrifice igniting something ancient. Thompson clenched his jaw, looking around with fear thickening his breath. "You should have never let her do that!" "What do you mean?" Martha shouted, voice tearing through the chaos. "You don't understand. She was meant to bridge the worlds, not plunge into the depths. Without her, darkness is set free," he warned, panic threading through his tone. Martha's heart dropped. "What darkness?" A booming voice echoed from the rift, deep and resonant. "You've released me." It slithered through the air like smoke, twisting around them. Fear paralyzed Martha. "What is that?" "Your family's sins have awakened me," the voice roared, and from the shadows emerged a figure. Tall, cloaked, eyes glinting with malevolence. It was a silhouette of all they had ever fought against. The room exploded with light, the void growing large enough to engulf them whole. For a split second, time slowed and it became clear. This was no ordinary presence. It was something they'd all known but feared to accept. "Mom," Clara gasped, voice trembling as she grabbed Martha's hand. What if we're part of this?" "No, we can't be," Martha shouted, pulling Clara closer. But something flickered in Evelyn's eyes, a recognition that sent icy shards down Martha's spine. "We've been pawns, but the true game, it depends on a mother's choice," Evelyn whispered, the weight of regret heavy in her tone. A violent scream erupted from the rift, and then silence fell. An eerie calm settled over them, as if the world held its breath in wait. Martha's heart pounded louder than ever. "What do we do?" The shadows danced around them, a mocking reminder of their entangled fates. And in the stillness, an awful realization washed over Martha, unearthing buried fears. What if the key is not just the girl, but the power that connects us all? Evelyn's voice trembled. "You must decide, Martha. This is a legacy we share. Will you face it or let it consume you?" As the rift pulsed ominously, a chilling thought held them captive, a choice waiting in the darkness. And as the figure stepped closer, the question hovered like a blade above them. Would they join the darkness or fight it, knowing their decision could cost everything? The shadows in the room loomed larger, pulsating with a sinister energy as the girl's scream dissolved into the dark. The air thickened with dread, wrapping around Martha like a death shroud. The identity of this strange child clawed at her mind. Was she truly their blood? A remnant of the past, or a harbinger of the nightmare to come? Just when it seemed the darkness had claimed them, Clara stepped forward, her voice quivering but resolute. "We can't let this happen. We have to find her." But the shadows stirred restlessly, creeping closer, whispering secrets that felt almost alive. Evelyn was at a loss, tears streaming down her face. "It shouldn't have been this way. I thought I could save you all." Her voice trembled, the weight of betrayal heavy in every word. "Enough!" Thompson's hands clenched into fists. "We're running out of time. If what she said is true, we need to find a way to stop this before it consumes everything." Suddenly, a deafening crack erupted from the rift, and the air shimmered like the surface of a disturbed pond. An overwhelming pull manifested from the darkness, tugging at Martha's insides. "What's happening?" Clara shouted, bracing herself against the wall. "We have to go!" But before they could move, a terrifying light burst from the rift. It was blinding, illuminating every corner of the room, battling the shadows with a furious intensity. The oppressive gloom recoiled, as if it feared this new power. "Stand back," Evelyn commanded, raising her hands. Martha's heart pounded in response, the energy coursing through them all like static. But just as quickly, the light dissipated, revealing something, or someone, standing at the edge of the rift. A figure cloaked in darkness emerged. But it wasn't just the ominous presence they all dreaded. The face became visible in the light, a face that flipped Martha's world upside down. "Dad?" she choked out, disbelief tumbling from her lips. "What? No!" Clara gasped, shock rippling through her. But there he was, standing before them. A man long believed dead. The man who had left without a word, who had haunted Martha's dreams ever since. His expression was grave, yet a flicker of longing danced in his eyes. "I've come to make things right," he began, his voice hoarse and broken. Make things right? Martha felt her world shift, pain twisting in her gut like a knife. "You left us. You left me." "Not by choice, Martha," he replied, stepping closer. "There's so much at stake. The cult. They were after me, after our family. I had to protect you." "Protect us?" she scoffed, anger spilling from her. "You abandoned us. You disappeared into thin air." "It's more complicated than you know," he insisted. The shadows hovered behind him, feeding off the tension in the room. "You're all part of this now. You have powers that you don't even understand." "What do you mean?" Clara's voice was shaky, the fear in her eyes replaced by cautious curiosity. "You need to uncover the truth." His gaze darted toward Evelyn, the fear mingling with regret. "I didn't know how deeply the darkness ran, but I knew you would find your way back to me." With each revelation, Martha felt her thoughts spiral. Everything she believed to be true was disintegrating before her. But then confusion struck like lightning. "So the girl, Clara's lineage, it all connects to you?" "Yes, and I'm sorry." His tone shifted, heavy with the weight of burdens unshared. "But you need to choose. Embrace the power. Fight against what we created, or risk losing everything. You're not victims. You're destined to face this darkness head on." Before she could respond, Clara shrieked, disbelief etched on her features. "No! You can't mean us! Why would we even want this? You'll let the cult take everything from us." Martha felt the world closing in. "But that means—" A flicker of recognition sparked in the air as everything fell into place. The family secrets, the darkness, the voices in the shadows, it all tied back to him. And suddenly, a horrifying thought gripped her heart. "You didn't just walk away, did you? You joined them." His eyes widened slightly, an indecipherable expression crossing his face. The shadows breathed ominously behind him, as if sensing the truth about to be unleashed. "Mom, don't!" Clara's voice trembled, but the ground beneath them shook. "I had to survive," he shouted. "You don't know what they're capable of. They will not stop until they claim what is theirs." The tension exploded as the shadowy figures lurched forward, ready to devour everything in their path. The truth felt like a noose tightening around their throats. "Will you embrace the darkness, or will you stand against blood that binds us? The choice is yours." The words hung in the air like a storm cloud, and in that moment, everything felt like it could shatter. They stood on the precipice of something vast and terrifying, and as the shadows surged, spilling forth like water from a broken dam, the question raced through Martha's mind. Was their true enemy the darkness, or the blood that ran through their veins? Martha felt her heart constrict as shadows surged toward them, darkness clawing at the edges of her reality. Her father stood, cloaked in the nebulous gloom, a figure once thought lost, now tethered to the very source of their dread. The air thrummed with tension. Time hung in a fragile balance. "Dad, you're back?" The disbelief laced Martha's voice, torn between hope and a rush of fury. She rushed forward, fists clenched at her sides. "I came back to save you," he said, urgency carving his features. "You don't understand the gravity of what you are facing." "Stop pretending to be our savior," Clara shouted, eyes blazing with righteous anger. "You chose to abandon us. Abandon me!" Martha glanced back at Evelyn, her grandmother's face pale with regret. "You knew, didn't you? You knew he would return." Evelyn opened her mouth to protest, but the shadows writhed closer, intent on swallowing them whole. And the weight of truth crashed down like a heavy stone. It all comes back to the bloodline, the choices made long ago, the price of dark legacies. "Clara, you're the beacon they crave." "What do you mean?" Clara shook her head, eyes wide with realization. "I'm just me." "No," Thompson shouted, pushing forward as the shadows churned angrily. "You're the key and the curse, Clara. You have a power that connects each twist of fate." "No," Martha yelled, shaking her head. "We refuse to be pawns in this game." In that moment, anger ignited within her. A fire she thought had dimmed burst alive, overwhelming the darkness. "If this is our legacy, we will face it together. We will not let it consume us." A deafening roar erupted from the rift behind them, shadows twisting and contorting as if caught in a cyclone. "You can't fight what you are," the cloaked figure laughed, an echo of their darkest fears. "Yes, we can," Clara clenched, her fists, the air shimmering with charged energy. "We won't repeat the past." Martha pulled her daughter closer, resolute. The shadows recoiled, sensing the strength of their bond. "We will break this cycle, together," she affirmed, heart racing. Suddenly Evelyn stepped forward, her voice trembling but fierce. "You were never meant to shoulder this weight alone. We've made mistakes, but we can't let them overshadow our hope. This is our moment." Martha exchanged a glance with Clara. A silent understanding forming. They would fight, not just for themselves, but for every shattered piece of their family. As one, they raised their hands, a collective surge of warmth pulsing through them, pushing back against the darkness. "Together," they echoed, voices united. Light erupted from their fingers, shattering the shadows enveloping them. For a heartbeat, the world fell silent, and in that brilliant illumination, shapes began to materialize from the rift. Anguished faces of their ancestors, ensnared souls crying out for release. "Set us free," they wailed, as the darkness shrank before the luminous strength of their resolve. With a final surge, Martha, Evelyn, and Clara breathed as one, forging a force of light that extinguished the looming shadows. Her father's form dissolved, the malevolence dissipating like mist under the morning sun. The room filled with warmth, the oppressive weight lifting, replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace. As the echoes of the past faded, a calm settled over them, hearts still. Raced, but the air was lighter, filled with possibility. "Is it over?" Clara whispered, looking at her mother with fresh tears glistening in her eyes. Martha pulled Clara into a fierce embrace. "Yes, but this is just the beginning. We redefine who we are, free from their chains." Evelyn stepped forward, wiping tears from her cheeks. "Together, we'll rebuild, face what comes next. We choose our path now." In that moment of solidarity, the ground felt steady. the future glowing ahead of them like a beacon of hope. And as they walked out of the shadows, Martha couldn't help but feel lighter. Together, they would embrace whatever the world had in store, prepared to forge ahead, bound by love, unshackled from the dark legacy of the past. But that journey isn't yours to miss. If you want to be here for all the incredible stories that are yet to come, subscribe immediately to the channel. You have to subscribe right now so you don't miss the next adventure. It's time to show your support. Smash the like button right now. You won't regret it. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Your support makes all the difference, and together, we can unlock more incredible tales.